All right, to anyone just coming into Shadowverse, starting out in Worlds Beyond, I want to talk about basically two main things in this video today. I want to talk about when to go ahead and choose your starter deck and which starter deck to choose. Basically everything related to me to choosing a starter deck. And alongside that, I just want to talk about basically if you're somebody who's a little bit limited on resources. So for example, free to play, or maybe you're like, I don't know, can I call it a dolphin or a minnow? Maybe you spend a little bit, but you still want to make your dollar stretch as far as possible. So essentially, basically non-whales, I guess you could say. The other thing to talk about is just like, how do you spend your resources in general? And basically, how do you maximize all the resources you have in the game? Because these two questions are really kind of one and the same thing. So when it comes to which starter deck to choose, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a story from my own personal experience for those that maybe haven't been keeping up on the channel, watching my other videos. So this Officer Swordcraft deck right here, if we take a look at it, all of the starter decks are basically going to look something like this. They're mostly filled with a bunch of bronzes and silvers. These are cards that you're going to get plenty of, and like they're pretty cheap to craft, so you don't really need to worry about them. And then they're going to have basically like something like 3 golds. I think they all have 3 golds, and then they all have 1 legendary in them. Now in this game, maximizing your resources is going to be all about legendary cards, because these cost 3,500 dust. What is it in this game? Vials, I think they're called in this game. So they're pretty expensive. And so basically the primary value you're going to be getting from these starter decks is going to be the 1 legendary here. And so this Swordcraft deck, if you go back and watch any of my videos, basically kind of showing how I kind of started off this free to play account and how I'm basically chronicling taking this account fully free to play all the way to the highest rank in the game. And if you go back and look, I was always talking about how I plan to choose this starter deck. I think this Albert guy seems really strong to me. I was opening good Swordcraft cards, and the primary value for me would have been this legendary. Although I could have also used some of these golds. And if you get a couple golds that you're also going to for sure play and that are going to be of use to you, I mean, that's pretty solid too, because golds are relatively expensive to craft. But again, it's all going to be about the legendaries. So that was my plan. Now let's go back and let's look at my actual card collection right now, everybody. If we go ahead and filter down to my legendaries, you're going to notice something here. I happen to have opened by just opening packs. We're about 2 weeks in. Yeah, as I'm recording this video, it's just about exactly 2 weeks into this. And first of all, just look at the collection that you're going to get as free to play in about 2 weeks. This is something like, I don't know, I'm going to end up with like 20 or 30 legendaries. And the first legendary that I opened 3 copies of, well, it just so happened to be Albert Levin Storm Saber. And so now if I was to take that starter deck, it just really wouldn't be worth it anymore, because I'm totally wasting like the #1 primary main benefit of opening that starter deck. I would literally end up just dusting, disenchanting. Okay, it's called liquefying in this game. And so it would just be absolutely terrible, horrible value. All right, literally minutes before I started recording this video, I got my second legendary card that I got 3 copies of, and that's going to be Quan, this 5-fold master. Now, interestingly enough, after playing the game for about 2 weeks, kind of shifted away from Swordcraft. I just wasn't really super into the play style of that class. So I just kind of didn't really feel like I really wanted to play this class anymore. I still think it seems totally strong. You can get to the highest rank, I'm sure, like pretty easily free to play. But I really started just genuinely enjoying the Runecraft archetype. And what's one of the cards that I knew I was going to need 3 of? I knew I was going to need 3 of this Quan 5-fold Master. It's like debatably, arguably the best card in Runecraft. Similarly, I feel the same way about the Albert guy. And so the exact same thing literally would have happened if I would have already chosen my starter deck. I could have potentially talked myself into choosing the starter deck that gives me the Quan to get up to 3 of those. I've only got 1 Anangria. There's actually 2 Runecraft starter decks. One gives Anangria and one gives the Quan guy. So once again, and if you literally wanted to just be done with this video already for like the primary message of the video, basically don't choose the starter deck until a certain point in the game. And let's define what that point is in the game. The point in the game that you want to go ahead and take your starter deck, and this is going to be the point that I'm literally going to get to in this video. You can just watch me if you want. I'm going to open up a bunch of stuff and then I'm going to make my own choice. I'm ready to make my choice. I'm ready to choose my starter deck, y'all. The point that you want to choose the starter deck, I'm going to define 2 criteria. The first is based on your legendaries that you're opening. You want to decide basically when you're just totally done opening up all of the nice free to play goodies that you get. And when that point comes, it's time to just go ahead and start crafting. And y'all, look at how many ethers you're going to get. And I'm not even close to done. I've already got almost 17,000 ether. If I go to liquefy cards, let's see where that brings me to. 19,000. Legendaries cost 3,500. So I'm already past like, I think 5 legendaries, and I'm still going to get quite a few more coming up. So you want to basically just get to that point where you feel like basically, okay, I'm done. And for me, I'm still not done yet. I'm still going to open more packs. It's basically the point where it's like, okay, I'm set. I don't really want to open up any more packs for this base set. And maybe even in future sets, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back these starter decks in future sets. So this will of course apply then too. So criteria #1, the point when you're basically just done opening packs and you're ready to just start crafting. Because if you want to really maximize your resources, you really don't want to do any crafting until you're pretty much done opening your pack. You want to basically open like every single pack that you can and then say, okay, I'm done until the next set. And then you go in and you fill in the gaps by crafting. And this actually has 2 benefits. The first benefit, as I mentioned, is about the starter deck. You're not going to accidentally choose a starter deck. Like, I'm not going to accidentally choose this deck anymore with the Quan in it. I could have potentially made another mistake by choosing this Quan starter deck. I almost almost made another mistake by choosing the Officer Swordcraft deck. That would have bringing me up to 4 of the Owlbear 11 Stormsaber. This is a major mistake if you're trying to use your resources as efficiently as possible. So I'm like 99% sure at this point that I'm going to be taking the Anne and Grea starter deck. It's the Spell Runecraft deck. And amazingly enough, not only do I need pretty badly this next copy of Anne and Grea, and then I'll probably craft a third, but I actually happen to just by chance need 2 of this homework time gold. So this is going to be an amazing pickup for me. And I could have easily made 2 different mistakes. All right, everybody. So criteria number 1, get to where you're totally done opening everything, getting all the lots of nice free-to-play gifts and goodies. I would recommend wait at least, I would say, like 2 weeks before you open the starter deck. Because the other thing is, let's say I still hadn't opened that third Alberia and I was still thinking I might go ahead and do this Officer Swordcraft deck. You really need to play, because I'm going to say criteria number 2, you really need to play the game for about 2 weeks. Number 1, to just understand like how powerful the different classes are at that point of time, which could definitely shape, because you don't necessarily want to play a class that's just totally weak. You're just not going to have fun with it if there's just one that's really underpowered. I don't know that any of the classes are truly underpowered right now. I know a lot of people argue that and say that all the time. But the other thing is you might as well choose a class that you really enjoy the playstyle of, and you're not really going to get a good feel of the playstyle of these classes until, you know, at least a week or 2 of getting a lot of matches in. You know, you might even just spend your first month messing around before you open up a starter deck. You know, and power wise, you know, you might realize if we go back to like, you know, this deck right here, I'm sure if you went and took a poll of people of like which one you should open, they're probably going to end up telling you should open this puppetry portal craft one, because it's got this Orcus card, which everybody keeps saying is going to get like nerfed probably because it's so strong. And I agree, this is like a ridiculously strong card. And yeah, maybe it's kind of annoying to play against. And yeah, Portalcraft probably is the strongest. You're not going to know that until you've been playing for a week or 2. And if you're coming in after the first month of the game, this card may even already be nerfed and things like that. So you want to spend the time to get to know the play styles of the different classes. Which one do you feel like you're going to have the most fun and enjoyment of the game? Because as I just showed you in my cards, I have so many vials, and we're not done yet, everybody, because we're going to open up a bunch more packs. And you know what? I'm just going to fly through like 20 or 30 packs in this video if you want to watch me. And so that's how we're going to kind of end the video. And I'm also going to show you finally to end this video, if you still want to stick around, like if you listen to this video and you're like, okay, so I need to be careful. I need to make sure that I don't waste my resources. So I'm going to gather up all the resources I'm going to get, and I'm going to keep opening packs until I've decided I've reached that point where it's time to start crafting. Well, what's a good point to hit for that? Well, the first thing you need to do is just go ahead and make sure you grab all those nice free resources that you're going to get. So let's go ahead and go over some of these nice free resources. All right. The first one, of course, is the friend code. Like you can't miss this. This is 2,000 free rupees. This is just 4 free packs just straight off the bat. If you still haven't done this yet, just look at the screen right now. Look at this invite code on the bottom left. It's this VN capital L CDS and then capital W. I've still got 15 friends I can invite. You're going to get 2,000 rupees just from entering that invite code by clicking this button. So go ahead and do that. In fact, I still haven't even entered an invite code. I still need to find that. So that's going to be 2,000 more free rupees I'll probably grab while I'm recording this video. All right. So that's number 1. Okay. Number 2, go ahead and make sure you go over to the solo missions. If you're still not sure that you've reached that point of getting enough resources, and there's a bunch of free gold you can get over here. First one is if you go to these practice battles, when you pick your opponent's deck, if you look here, each one of these, I've already mostly done this. Every single one of these AI opponents, you're going to get like 50 gold. And then as they increase in difficulty, 100 gold. And then eventually they get up to 200 gold for the toughest AI opponents. So that's easily what, another 1 to 2,000 gold. All right, what else is there? If you go to the story mode, you're going to get gold. I've barely done it, but if you go to, for example, Dry Zen, Barbara Dry Sand here, as you're working through, so like when you get to this 4th one here, Exit from Eternity, there's going to be this little battle symbol. You have to do like a stupidly easy battle, gives you 500 gold whenever you clear this one. And I'm assuming you're going to get more as you keep going through. So if you feel like you haven't really opened enough legendaries to be sure which ones you want to craft, go ahead and make sure you finish all this out before you choose that starter deck so you prevent yourself from making that mistake. Of course, in the battle tutorials, it's 250 per. This is about, what, 2,000 gold here. Again, that's 4 more packs. All right. In the park lobby, everybody, there are so many resources you end up getting from this park, everybody. Don't forget you do all of the events on the top right and the quests that are available at any given time. All right, as a quick reminder, just in case, every week and every day you're going to get a couple quests to do here. And let me just show you, I still think people are kind of undervaluing these. Potentially, you know, people keep complaining, you know, like on Reddit, how free to play is impossible, you never get any resources. You really do get pretty good rewards from these park key chests. So every day you get 2 of these free park keys. Make sure you're doing that every day if you want to maximize your resources and you have the time and you're free to play, stuff like that. And then you also get these weekly quests. Again, pretty solid rewards. 200 vials, 250 rupees, and you get a total of 10 park chests. All right, so I've got 31 keys. Let's make sure here what I get. Because for all you know, you can get things like, and I'm going to just open these 10 at a time. I'll just go ahead and get rid of all these keys, because for all you know, you can literally get, you know, almost anything that you open in this game look at this is pretty decent here. This is a gold card right here, Ceri's Blue Rose Maiden. I had 2 copies and I was actually thinking it might be kind of fun to play it. Ooh, and I think I got a premium version. I'm actually really happy to open that. You really don't want to be wasting your vials on gold card. And this literally may have just kept me from wasting a vial on crafting this specific gold card. I swear to you, everybody, I had 2 of these and I was actually considering if I didn't open 3 eventually, I may have to craft one. All right. And of course, you know, pretty solid rupees and pretty solid vials. Let's do a couple more 10 packs real quick. All right, literally got another gold card that I really wanted. Rage of Serpents. Again, Abysscraft gold card. I really, really wanted a 3rd copy of this. I'm pretty sure this is either my 2nd or 3rd copy. Once again, that's going to keep me from potentially wasting vials by crafting this gold card. Jaina 11, literally the same story as my first one. I've been wanting to play this guy for a while. And since I know I'm not crafting the Swordcraft deck, I actually really wanted to open one of those to try them out. So once again, I am going to keep myself from wasting those resources. And here we go. I almost always get at least like 1 or 2 golds when I open a 10 pack, although I guess not this time, huh? All right, we end with our futuristic crop pants. So make sure you open all of those that you can, again, before you have to choose a starter deck, before you do crafting and things like that. There's almost always also some kind of events going on. All right, so we just had this Lobby Bonanza rupees galore. All right, I'm ready to open my chest, everybody. I wanted to make sure to show this in the video. I think it's kind of exciting, everybody. Are you ready? All right, who's here? Who wants to see what we get here? I've got 10 chests. Let's see what we get real quick. All right, here. Because again, I'm choosing my starter deck. All right, first one, 100 rupees. All right, 250 rupees. So we're getting some, we're going to get some packs here, everybody. 100 rupees. And if you stay till the end here, I'm going to also finish up by talking about, okay, 200 vials, pretty solid. Like at what point do I know I'm ready to craft as far as like how many legendary should I open? Ooh, a premium fan of Otohime. I literally was going to potentially craft this card, everybody. And it's a premium. I'm literally, this video is working out perfectly. I'm literally opening up all the cards. I only had 1 of that. And I'm pretty sure you're going to have to play at least 2 of those fan of the Otohime in the Dragon deck, which I literally have been playing. And I've been literally thinking today as I was playing it before recording this video, I'm going to have to craft another one of those fans if I don't open another one. All right, 100 rupees. So nothing too crazy here. 100 rupees. Finish with the last chest, everybody. All right, so just make sure you're doing all the events that you can. Okay, Rage of Serpents. So that's definitely going to be our 3rd by now. So that's actually pretty excellent. All right, so we've done every event. Make sure you've gotten all the good rewards from all the events that you can. Make sure you've opened all your park chests, do all those quests. Okay, so we've opened all of our park chest stuff. By the way, I want to talk about my only exception to my rule. If you click on this tournaments, once a week there are these big tournaments, and they actually give out pretty good rewards. Let me show you the rewards here. So for the major rewards, if you get 4 wins, you get 3,500 vials. That's literally a legendary card, and 1,000 rupees and some other stuff that's kind of okay, decent. It's basically this 3,500 vials, and 3rd place gets 1,000 vials, which is pretty solid too. The only exception I would say to go ahead and choosing your starter deck a little bit earlier than what I'm going to say is if you really think you have a pretty good shot of doing well in one of these tournaments. Like let's examine a hypothetical situation where you literally need 1 more legend to craft, or maybe like a legend, a couple golds, and you think you may actually be able to get a 4 wins in a tournament, then you would literally get those resources back, 3,500 vials. Whereas like if you didn't craft that 3rd legend, or maybe even 2 legends, then you know you're pretty sure you'd only get like 0 or 1 wins. I'm going to say that's the only exception to what I'm saying in this video. But even then, once again, I'm telling you, everybody, if you play for a week or 2, you'll get to learn even what people are playing in the tournaments and make sure you're even good enough to even compete in them, because you may potentially be making a mistake. Like you might think, oh, if I just craft this 1 legendary, I've got a good shot of 4 wins. But if you haven't actually worked your way up the ranks, are you even really sure that you're going to really have a good shot? Of course, everybody, obviously make sure you're doing your missions every day. Again, if you're maximizing resources, if you're free to play or low spender, obviously make sure you open your free pack every day, do all your daily missions, and even, you know, you're going to want to make sure you open your 5 chests every day. I've opened these 5 out of 5 chests pretty much every day. If you have one of these chest events going on, I made another video on that. I think these are like one of the worst assigned events. But y'all, I just opened my 3rd Quan right before this video from literally not even a special chest, and I got a legendary. I got a Quan, which I needed, and I'm telling you, potentially kept me from making a mistake on my starter deck that I chose. And don't forget about achievements also. Up on the top right corner here, if you go to these feats, there's like all these different things. You know, you could even rank up a little bit, and you know, you could try to get as many of these as you can before you go ahead and start doing any of your crafting or choosing your starter deck. All right, with that, I think I've gone through pretty much every single like kind of main primary way that you're going to gather up the resources. All right, so now go ahead and just start spending your resources and get your account to a point where you feel like it doesn't really make sense to spend any more to basically open packs. And let me tell you, at least for the first month, where I think that point is. Real quick, let me fly through a couple packs. I'm not going to really like talk about the contents of these packs too much. I'm just going to kind of fly through them. And as I fly through some of these last packs on my account, we're going to see basically where my account account is going to end up. Funny enough, I actually needed this third AFA Wind Rider. I was literally thinking I may have to end up crafting that if I didn't open it. Here we are. We opened it. Don't have to craft it. And I'm going to basically show you. Okay, so there you go. So there's that second homework time. I told you I actually needed that from the starter deck. Now I only need one. So it's not quite as good from the starter deck. Still pretty solid potentially. All right, so let's end with probably around 10, 20, 30 more packs. And then I'll basically conclude by telling you where I think is a good stopping point to basically stop opening all the free stuff that you get. All right, and so as we go through these packs, now of course, every 10 packs, you are guaranteed to get a legendary card. We got one legendary in this 10 pack, it looks like. I would probably also go ahead and make sure that you end on a guaranteed pity timer legend if you're opening up. Actually needed a fill Dow, I'm pretty sure too, so that's nice getting a second one of those. So I would say, yeah, first of all, make sure you end on a pity timer. Probably end on a pity timer. It seems like a good idea to me. I actually need a second Genesis Dragon, not that I may ever potentially use that guy. Probably don't actually need it because it's probably not really going to be used much. Pretty sure, yep, I needed that. That was my first one of that gold. So let me give you the kind of the quick version of when I think you should stop opening. Okay, everybody, we are going to get, there's the second one of that. I needed the Zahar. Okay, and that is my third Cerberus. All right, I'm pretty happy to get a third Cerberus. Wow, and it's a premium, y'all. I genuinely really like Abysscraft, everybody. Got the third homework time, everybody, so that's what I'm talking about. Now, suddenly those golds are not really that useful in the starter deck, but it doesn't really matter. All right, so I opened my third Cerberus. So what ends up happening in all these games, it always kind of works out the same in all of these, card game, trading card, collectible card games, whatever you want to call these, where they give you free resources and dailies, all these kind of things. They're all kind of the same. They all kind of work the same. You basically keep opening packs, and eventually there comes a point where it doesn't really make sense to open packs anymore, and you should really pretty much only be really doing crafting at that point. And the reason is because you just don't have good enough odds of getting new things. Like I'm still getting here, still first killer rhinoceros, and I'm showing you I'm still getting golds that I genuinely need. If you look at these golds I just got in this pack, I needed the Skullfine, I didn't have any. I needed the killer cockroach, I didn't have any. I actually needed the 6-drop, I still want to try them out. I would have needed the homework time potentially, and I actually needed this third copy of this legend, and it was my second copy of both of these. So the packs themselves, opening the packs themselves, the value is still feeling pretty good for me, but I'm also just kind of running out of free resources just in general anyways. So also you can just open until you just consume all your free resources and then you literally have no choice left. But basically the short version is I still feel like, oh my God, we got this. Are you kidding me? This is a minimum 3 legendary 10 pack. This is crazy, y'all. You want to keep opening until that value you're getting. Where's the main value you're getting from opening these? It's when you're opening, in my opinion, new legendary cards. So basically my rule is going to be as follows. You want to make sure that there is still basically a good enough chance that you're not going to be opening up duplicate legends. And everybody, for the first time, literally, as I'm recording this video, I actually needed one of the Alouettes. That's actually supposedly one of the strongest cards right now. Everybody keeps saying that also. So the short version is basically I would open, I don't think I had one of those. Nope, new card. Open until basically, happy with a premium, until there's like a genuine concern that you're going to keep opening copies, duplicates of legendaries, duplicates past 4 copies, that is. And I'm finally at the point where there is actually a kind of a reasonable chance that is my third copy of Forte. So I now have 3 copies of the Forte Black Dragoon, got my second killer rhinoceros. So the value of these packs is really good. As soon as you start getting too many dupes though, that's the point where it's just time to go ahead and start crafting and start saving up for that next set. All right, everybody, and that's why I want to make this video, because I'm literally at the point right now, that's my second Angrea. Everybody, this is literally, all right, I've perfectly demonstrated my point in this video. I now have 2 Anagreas. If I randomly happened to open a third Anagrea, I literally would no longer be able to open that starter deck, and it could potentially happen in this video, but I think this is my last 10 pack I'm going to open. I think I'm going to open one more pity timer pack in this video, and then that's going to be it, everybody, and I'm not going to open any packs anymore. So yep, absolutely amazing, fantastic. I really wanted the third Forte. Literally today I was thinking about maybe having to craft this third Forte, basically hoping I was going to open it, and boom, I opened it. Anangrea, I could have, I'm 1 away from where I would have potentially regretted having 3, and then taking that starter deck would have been a mistake. Still not a mistake currently, and then happy to get this card as well. Salifa, needed this, needed another killer rhinoceros, and now suddenly we are at a point where opening these packs is starting to get a little bit concerning as to whether we're going to end up opening up duplicates or not. All right, everybody. And so for this account, my last pack I'm going to actually spend resources on is going to be a final guaranteed legendary card within 8 pack. And then I am officially done, and I'm officially stopping at that point for when it's time for me to just go ahead and start crafting everything else I need, and then save my resources for the next set that's going to come out. All right. And so I'm just going to go ahead and enter an invite code. And with that, boom, we got the 2,000 free rupees. Again, don't forget, everybody, just use that code on the bottom left of the screen if you still need one. I got plenty of slots left for people to use my code if you want to. Brings us up to the 5,000 rupees legendaries, and that is going to be enough for a 8-pack. We're going to get our guaranteed legendary. And actually for this last one, do them just 4 at a time. Sometimes you get it 4 that hits, so I don't want to waste a couple packs if I don't need to. All right, and let's see where we end up. And all right, nothing too crazy so far. All right, I think I actually needed that gold, another copy. At this point, probably pretty much not going to need any silvers or bronzes. All right, guaranteed legendary card within 4 packs. Let's go ahead and finish this off, everybody. All right, here we go, 4 packs. All right, so then this is probably the last legendary that we're going to end up opening for this month on this account, most likely, aside from those daily free packs, which you do get some from those every once in a while. All right, and it was the pity timer was the one that we got it on. All right, here we go, everybody. All right, am I going to get any... Oh, there you go, everybody. I literally could have saved myself from getting the 4th copy, and I got my official first duplicate of the game. It is a Cerberus. That is officially my 4th copy, and that is exactly why, everybody. That is exactly why I made this video. Keep you from making this mistake. If you're free to play and you want to conserve your resources as much as you can and be as efficient as possible, basically build as many good decks as you can with the kind of limited free-to-play resources. What literally happened to finish this video off, there she is again, Cerberus, is the reason why you do what I tell you to do in this video. Let me go ahead and show you. I feel like where I got was pretty much exactly the perfect stopping point. All right, how many legends did I end up opening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll count these in my head. All right, I counted 35 legendaries that I opened, which to me sounds pretty much about exactly right for where you're probably going to want to stop. Okay, for me, it was 35 legendaries. I got up to 3 of the Alberts, Juans, Fortes, and also the Cerberuses, which was the only one I got an extra copy of. So that's 4 where I ended up that I could have started hitting duplicates on. And now it'll technically be 5 with the Anangrea, because that's going to be the one that I'm planning on choosing the starter deck for. Although I could still pull a fast one on you at the very end of this video. And I'm going to talk to you about through my final logic of choosing the starter deck here. And let me show you where I'm at with my Ether Vials. 23,300 Ether Vials. That's over 6 legendaries, everybody. It'll be 7 for sure by the end of the month from the free packs and stat. So basically 6 to 7 legends that you get to craft. And because I waited, everybody, I saved myself from a lot of extra potential duplicates. Just got the Quan, like I said before the video, from a random ranked chest. I definitely was planning on either choosing a starter deck or crafting that one. That would have ended up being an extra copy. The Forte would have ended up being an extra copy because I was really thinking about crafting that. Same with the Albert. I almost took that starter deck. Lot of potential that I could have made some mistakes that would have cost me, basically half the cost of a legendary. So maybe around like 2,000 vial mistake that I could have potentially made. All right, so the final thing of the video here. All right, everyone. So the final thing for the video, which starter deck am I going to take now that I'm at what I think is the perfect point? Let me tell you my final logic here. There is actually a chance that I will not take this Anangrea, and I want to talk you through my rationale. Because the thing is, I know that I have the resources to craft more than one kind of tier 1 deck. I guess we'll call it tier 1 deck. Whatever. Good deck that I want to play with all the legends in it. Now that I've opened up the homework times, I don't need these 2 homework times anymore. They're all duplicates. So the only gold I would be getting here would be 1 Demonic Call, and then I would only be getting the 1 Anangrea. So I'm either going to take this deck, or the only reason I would potentially not take this deck is because I just ended up with so many resources. They really do give you enough as free to play. I know everybody just keeps complaining about that, but you really actually do get enough stuff. So the only reason I would potentially not do that is if there was like another class that I knew I also wanted to play, like a second class. So for example, Abysscraft. This is a second class I know I want to play. I've now opened 2 more Cerberus. I'm at 4 Cerberus. So this deck is now completely pointless to play. And I got plenty of the series, which I want to try out. Okay, so it's not going to be that. So what it would be something like this Puppetry Portal Craft, for example. I haven't opened up any Orcus. So this would give me 1 Orcus, and I think I might actually need a 3rd Sylvia. So if I knew that I was going to play a second class, for sure, like if I was 100% sure, all right, and so I knew like, okay, I'm going to need 1 Orcus and I'm going to need 1 Anangrea. I know. Then I would basically go through the decks and I would figure out which one has more golds or silvers that I randomly ended up not opening. Artifact Portal, I could even potentially look at this one as well. So this Alouette, for example, I just opened my first one. You all maybe saw it in this video. So I actually do need a second copy of this if I wanted to try out a deck like this. So in the future, you will see I will no longer have this starter deck choice. I'm going to do my final thoughts here, but basically that's it. That's my logic, everybody. It's time. I hope this helped you out if you're a new player. This is probably more comprehensive than you like, but if you like the style of me being about as comprehensive as anybody on the internet, do consider subscribing. I hope I help you out. All right, let's end it there, everybody. See you later. Nope, actually, you know what, everybody? I'm ready to pick it. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm ready to play Runecraft. I love the play style. I'm ready to play the deck. All right, it's time. How do I do this? Does it get messed up if you don't have it on the right one? Wow, okay, yeah, you actually have to be kind of nimble to make sure. All right, here we go. That's it. I've decided. I'm ready to play Runecraft. All right, and that's it. I took it, everybody. I did it. And it automatically got it added to my decks, everybody. All right, that's it. I did it. I explained every logic I wanted to explain. The deck has been chosen. I'm a Runecraft player, everybody, from here on out. Well, at least for now. Really looking forward to playing it. Got 3 Anangrea, got 3 Quans, 2-dimension climb. I'll craft a 3rd if I need to, depending on how I want to play the deck. All right, that is it. Starter deck chosen. I hope I helped y'all. Hit a like, comment, subscribe if I did. See y'all later.